What's going on? Welcome to another live quarantine TV edition of Real Fans Real Talk. I know y'all enjoy seeing us back in the studio. We enjoy being back in the studio, and we definitely gonna be back in the studio doing a lot more stuff within the next couple of months. But we still got to give you that weekly action, right? A lot more stuff within the next couple of months. But we still got to give you that weekly action, right? A lot more stuff within the next couple of months. But we still got to give you that. Eric. I'm gonna get this thing right one of these days. I'm gonna get.
It's only right that's how the episode starts out.
I be forgetting because I be trying to have us set up in all these different locations, man. Shout out to the people that's joining the live stream now. I'm so sorry, man. I'm gonna get this thing together, man. We've been here for a minute, but I still be up here having the mental bloops and blips and whatnot. But let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Legend in Two Games. What's up, man?
Oh, let me take myself off mute. Well, it's really good, bro. I'm super excited to get back to it. As you mentioned, I can't wait for us to get back in the studio because we got so much work we cooking up for you guys that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. But today's episode is gonna be a special one as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, shout out to everybody that been rocking with us. I see y'all starting to check in now on the live. We got a little speed is running a little bit, little delay on the speed right now, so y'all just bear with us. But we got a lot of sports to get into this week, so let's just jump right in. And you guys are more than welcome to drop those comments whenever you want, and we'll get to them. But the NBA playing tournament is looking kind of crazy right now. There's been a lot of movement over the past couple of weeks, and I don't know who's going to be in and who's going to be out by the time this thing is over. For the most part, teams have about between 5 and 6 games left, but since there's only about a game or two separating, basically 10 through 6, this is really anybody's tournament. But Eric, who you liking to make the tournament?
Well, I guess where I want to start is one of the most intriguing scenarios is if Dallas doesn't make the play-in tournament, which right now they're a half game behind Oklahoma City. I would like to see Dallas in. I would like to see Luka continue his playoff mastery, but right now with the struggles they've had, I think Jason Kidd might be on his way out there as well. I think the West is going to stay the way it currently is: Lakers, Pelicans, Timberwolves, and OKC making it, with the Jazz and Mavs just missing out.
Mm. Yeah, I think so too. I'm a little bit disappointed in Dallas because I thought they would have been better than this. I do understand because I did say a couple of weeks ago, they did trade away the little defense that they had with Finney Smith getting sent to Brooklyn in that Kyrie Irving trade. But I didn't think it was going to get this bad this quickly to the point where they're no longer in the 1 through 10 seeds. Um, I don't know what can do to make up for this because they don't play any defense. And it's not even really a problem with Kyrie and Luka because for the most part they've both been able to still do what they want. The team just doesn't play any defense, so I don't see them being able to bounce back from this, which is really unfortunate for Dallas because I believe they're gonna wind up losing Kyrie, which means now you gave away Dimwitty, you gave away Finney Smith, who gave you that depth in defense, along with a couple of draft picks for Kyrie. And if you guys don't make the playoffs, there's no way I see Kyrie re-signing with Dallas.
Yeah, I don't think he resigns at all either. I think it'll, if anything, they'll work out a sign and trade to try to recoup some pieces for him. But Dallas is in a very tough spot right now, man. I mean, like I said, half game out. They got a big game with Miami today. Then they get in Atlanta. Then they got Sacramento. They got Chicago, and they end off with San Antonio. Four of those five teams are playoff teams and all have something to play for. San Antonio is the one outlier, obviously, where they have nothing to play for, and it'll be already, they already 1-2-3 Cancun a couple weeks ago anyway. But everybody else has something to play for. And Dallas, as you mentioned, because they struggle so bad defensively, none of these games are like just cupcakes. All these are going to be tough games that they're going to have to find a way to win. They're probably going to end the season under 500. And that's why I don't think they make the play-in.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I don't think they make the play-in tournament as well. Especially when you got the, teams like the Pelicans, doing what they got to do. You got OKC who's really been fighting. So I just can't see it. And we both know how strong the Lakers have been playing at.
Bear with us, people. Trip is having some connection issues. We're gonna try to get him back in here. Drunk, I see your comment, man. Shout out to you for tuning in with us, man. Jason Kidd sucks. He does, man. And I think it's gonna get very interesting this offseason to see if he can actually even keep that job. This would be his third head coaching job, and he struggled everywhere he's been. Now you give him Luca, you give him Kyrie, and they still struggle to just make the play-in, not even the playoffs, just the play-in tournament. Jason Kidd is on thin ice right now. It's probably his last coaching job, man. Guys, keep sending in your questions, your comments, man. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. We're having some technical issues right now. I know Trip is trying to log back in, so we're going to try to get him back in here. In the meantime, we want to get into some more NBA talk. I want to hear from you guys as well, though. I want you guys to let me know what you're liking, who you think is making a play-in tournament, who you think could be a sleeper team, who could make a little noise. The East, looks a little bit wrapped up in terms of who's going to make the play-in tournament. Right now, the Wiz have the best shot to get to the 10th, or the closest, I should say, to get to the 10th, but they're 3 back with 5 to go. So more than likely, they're not going to get there, especially with the bad loss they took to Orlando last night, which was crazy. You got Miami right now trying to find a way to get to that 6th spot to stay away from the play-in tournament, which would be really tough for Miami. They're an older team. They've been banged up this year. Obviously, they do not want to have to play additional games just to get in. Drunk said Mike Brown not getting nearly enough credit for the job he's doing in Sacramento. That's a great comment. I do agree. I think Mike Brown should be the coach of the year. I think he's done a phenomenal job turning that around and ending their playoff drought. They had gone 14 years without making the playoffs. Right now, they're sitting at the number 3 seed in the West. He's done a phenomenal job in turning De'Aaron Fox into the all-star that I think everyone thought he would be coming out of Kentucky. They're kind of a small ball lineup because Sabonis isn't a true 5, but he plays the 5 for them, and they're able to space you out and do so many things offensively. Mike Brown has done a phenomenal job there, though. And where we go, we got Trip back in the building. Drunk said, I think the Lakers going to finesse their way in there somehow. Right now, they're in pretty good shape. 7th overall, tied with the Pelicans for 7th overall. So they will be in the play-in game. I think they're pretty secure there. For me, it's really going to be about what matchup, if they can win through the play-in game and end up as the 7th seed. Them in Memphis would be pretty interesting. We know they had some back and forth earlier this year, but I think matchup-wise, especially with the way Anthony Davis has been playing, they could give Memphis a lot of trouble in a first-round matchup. If they slip to 8th, it gets a little tougher because I don't know how well they would match up with Denver. But against Memphis, that would be a 2-7 matchup that would be really interesting, and I think could go the distance. Trip, if you can hear me, let me know. I see you trying to get back in here, or shoot me a message. Let me know what's going on, man. In the meantime, guys, reminder, as you see on the bottom, make sure you are subscribed to Real Fans Real Talk on YouTube. Make sure you're heading over to the website as well. You can also see all our previous episodes up on YouTube as well. We do this live every week, man. So we appreciate you guys taking the time to rock with us every Saturday, 11 a.m. I know our times have been a little off recently. That has to do with, with the work balance, but we're trying to come to you guys every Saturday. We're going to continue to come to you guys every Saturday. We'll be back in studio very soon as well. If you guys haven't seen that episode, we did our quote unquote Mount Rushmore of the NBA. We pretty much gave you the best guy at every position that we felt, and we also used your votes as well. And we also did top 5 sneakers as well. And that one probably should have been a top 15 because we got into a lot of sneakers there. But if you guys haven't checked it out already, head over to YouTube, check it out. All previous episodes are up. Make sure you're following us on social media as well. You see the social media handles as well. We put clips up there. We engage on social media as well. And I got Trip. He just sent me a text, guys. Like I said, he's trying to get back in right now. So we're trying to make it work. We're going to give it a few more minutes to see. We don't want to cancel this live to start it over again. So we're going to try to do the best we can right now. Send in your questions, send in your comments. Let's look at the slate today. What's on the slate today? I know we got some Final Four action that we were going to get into, and I'm going to wait. I don't want to give my prediction on who I expect to win today, but big Final Four games tonight. Got some NBA as well. As I mentioned, Dallas at Miami, Clippers at Pelicans. All those games have some sort of significance. Obviously, Dallas needs to win. They have to win to keep their play-in tournament hopes alive. The Pelicans right now, as I mentioned, tied for 7th. They're trying to figure out a way to jump over the Lakers to get that 7th spot. Clippers 5th, tied with Golden State. They have the tiebreaker. So this game does mean something for them because they could possibly get up to 4 if they finish off this week strong. So we'll see how that plays out. But definitely games with some significance today all across the board. Baseball is also back as well. If you guys have a favorite baseball team, if you guys have a sports story, if you guys have anything related to sports in general that you want to talk about, send in your questions. We're going to get into that. Trip will be getting back on the live very shortly. Like I said, just some connection issues. Let's see what the baseball schedule is looking like today. What do we got on deck today? I know Trip is excited about his Yankees. Aaron Judge wasted no time, literally. First at bat, hitting a home run after leading the American League last year in homers. He comes right back in his first at bat this year, hits another one. My Mets stumbled a little bit yesterday. Offense went a little cold after winning on opening day, but full slate of baseball as well. You know, we got to see how the Phillies can do. They lost opening day after having a big lead to Texas. Philly is going to be one of them stories we got to pay attention to moving forward as well. Reese Hoskins already looks like he's done for the year. Let's see. Yeah, full slate of baseball, man. All day today. Padres 0-2, surprising. A lot of talent over there. A lot of expectations for that team with the money they spent this offseason with, and then with also bringing back Tatis Jr., a full year of Soto, Xander Bogaerts. 0-2, a little surprising there. They got to see if they can get it back on track today and not start the season 0-3. Very long baseball season, but you definitely don't want to start 0-3, man. As always, guys, make sure you're following us across all social media platforms. Make sure you are subscribed to Real Fans Real Talk. You see the website scrolling across the bottom. All our previous episodes are up. We're trying to get Trip back in here right now. And we're trying to see if we can get this thing rolling again. So we're going to give it a little bit longer. Trip, let me know, man. Shoot me a message. Let me know what's going on. I don't want to run through too many of these topics, before you get back on, because obviously we got to save something for the show, man. And I know we're going to get into the Lamar talk as well. We got to get into the Lamar talk. There's so much new information coming out about Lamar Jackson. We heard that he had requested a trade March 2nd. We originally thought he wanted fully guaranteed money on his contract. Now we're hearing that that's not entirely true. So there's so much to get into there as well, man. I'm trying to wait for Trip to come in. Like I said, I don't want to go through too many of these topics without Trip because we got to get his opinion on a lot of these things. Also, guys, tune in Friday nights on Facebook Live. I go live every Friday, 9 p.m. The Sanchez Show. Super interactive, answering questions. We don't do the same topics that we do here on Real Fans Real Talk because I don't want to step on the content. But next week, we've got a very good show coming up. We're debating, and it's retroactive. We're looking back at the 03-04 NBA season and having a debate that I think a lot of people haven't really talked about. Who was the true rookie of the year in 03-04? Tune in Friday night. You're going to see that conversation. That's a good conversation. And again, very interactive for anybody. Friday nights, Facebook Live. Look me up, Eric Sanchez or The Sanchez Show. You'll see it every Friday night. We come live to you Saturdays as well. Real Fans, Real Talk. Myself and Trip Young. Right now, Trip is having some technical difficulties. We're trying to get him back in here on the live so we can get things going. Hopefully, we can get the connection set. We got to get back into some NBA talk. I know we got some NFL talk. We got some Final Four talk for tonight. It's a busy day. It's a perfect day to sit around and just watch sports. That's what I'm going to be doing, man. I think we might be able to get Trip back in here. Let's see. Here we go.
Yo. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh man, I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I know if y'all not in New York, y'all might not know, but it's like pouring down, raining in New York right now. So I got the service acting up. That's why I had to switch back over to the computer cam. But I'm so sorry, guys. Shout out to Drunk Eric. Appreciate you for holding it down while I got things in order. Where we at with it?
No, we were just I was answering some of Drunk's questions. He made a great comment about Mike Brown not getting enough credit, which I completely agree. As I mentioned, Sacramento's third in the West right now. Mike Brown has done a phenomenal job turning around that situation for a team that had not made the playoffs in 14 years. Mm-hmm. They're in the playoffs, but also De'Aaron Fox turning into an all-star. Sabonis playing like an all-star. They've done a phenomenal job there. And then he also said, I think the Lakers gonna finesse their way in there somehow. And as I mentioned, I think the Lakers as a seventh seed. Now, health plays a big factor, there, but just because of the way Anthony Davis has been playing, I think as a seventh seed, they would give Memphis a lot of trouble with their newly constructed roster. AD playing the way he's playing, Bron, you know what you're going to get from Bron no matter what. But the role players have played so well. D'Angelo Russell could be a wild card for them, and I think them in Memphis would be a very, very tough series in the first round.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll be a heated series though because of the back and forth that we've had this season, and Uncle gonna be in the building too if they do play the the Grizzlies in the in the first round of the playoffs. But I'm gonna say this: keep a lookout because don't be surprised if the Lakers somehow manage to finesse their way into the sixth seed and just skip over the playing tournament altogether.
I mean, they have a shot. They're within range. And I wanted to right before we cut out, I was gonna right before you got cut out there, I was gonna look at their schedule because right now they're a game and a half back. Clippers and Golden State are tied for fifth and sixth right now. The Clippers have the tiebreaker there, so Golden State technically is the sixth, but game and a half back there. But I don't know how hard the Lakers are going to try to push themselves over this next week because I know again Braun just coming back. You don't want to do anything to mess with that or possibly have him go down. And then obviously you got to probably watch AD's minutes going into the playoffs as well because you want him as fresh as possible. So looking at their schedule and looking at what they end the season off with, I'm gonna read it off to you right now, Trip. I was literally bringing it up. Last 5 games of the year for them. They got Houston tomorrow, very winnable game. They're at Utah, then they're at the Clippers, then they got Phoenix and they got Utah. So they're on the road for really 2 of the next 3 because the Clipper game is a home game as well. They could make that push, and that Clipper game is probably going to be the most significant one if they want to try to get up to number 6 because that is a team that's directly in front of them. But it's not the easiest schedule, not the toughest either. But it's a little tough there. Again, you're talking about between Tuesday and Sunday next week. They got back-to-backs on Tuesday and Wednesday, so you would expect Braun and AD not to play both of those games. And then they end off Friday against Phoenix, Sunday against Utah. One of those games you might sit those guys out as well, depending on where you're seating. Where you're sitting at your seating anyway, because again, you want to be as fresh as possible going in.
Yeah, I agree. The good thing is for the most part, I think outside of that Suns game, I think that Suns game will be really tough. The Clippers game would have been tough if PG hadn't gone down with injury. So I do think they'll be able to get that one. I'm not too worried about Utah. I think they should be able to take care of business against Utah in that game. So yeah, they do have a good chance. And then when you look at the fact that, again, the Clippers have been up and down the past couple of weeks since Paul George's injury. Same thing with Golden State. They surprise me and win the games I feel like they're gonna lose, and then they lose the games I feel like they're gonna win. And again with Andrew Wiggins pretty much being done for the season, I think it's gonna be tough for Golden State to maintain things. They really need Andrew Wiggins back. We hadn't got into too much of his reasoning for not playing this year, or at least the speculation of why he's not playing the remainder of this season. But however you slice it, Golden State definitely needs Andrew Wiggins in that lineup.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he was their second best player last year on a championship run. And he was putting together another good season this year before obviously, he had to step away right now. And if they get him back, I think it would be a huge boost for them because now they need that perimeter defender. Obviously, they get Gary Payton the second there, but they need Andrew Wiggins as another guy as well. And then the dynamics of their lineup completely changed. But those Utah games against the Lakers, I want to go back to that real quick. Those could get very interesting because Utah is only a game and a half out of the 10th spot. And especially that last game of the year against the Lakers. If the Lakers have nothing to play for, obviously you're sitting your guys no matter what. But Utah might have a lot to play for going into that last game for a chance to get into the play-in tournament. And if you're the Lakers, you might have to gauge, do we want to just end their season now or do we want to give them life and then potentially see them at some point in the play-in tournament? That's where it could get interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you with you on that one. I just, for as far as the Lakers go, I mean, I do have to give Rob Pelinka a lot of props for the moves that he was able to make. Since the trade deadline, the Lakers are number one in defense. And that's a large attribute to Vanderbilt and what he's been able to do in that starting lineup. But I I need the consistency from Anthony Davis. It can't be 35 and 17 and then the next night is 8 and 8. Like I like we can't win like that. There's no way. It's not possible. Anthony Davis has to play the way he played against Minnesota, the way he played against Chicago in the second game of well, not back to back because they had like a night or two off. But when they played the second game against Chicago, that's the Anthony Davis that is going to have to show up. If that Anthony Davis shows up consistently, the Western Conference is going to have a lot of problems because that Anthony Davis, that Lakers team, they're really good. They can compete with anybody. Austin Reeves kind of came out of nowhere. But I mean, he's looking like he might be one of them ones out there. The way he's been going hard in the paint. D'Angelo Russell has found new life back, in second stint in LA. Schroeder has been playing really well. He's looking healthy because I know he was hurt a couple of weeks ago, so he wasn't at or close to 100%. But he's looking really good right now for them. I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of Malik Beasley because they're going to need his sharp shooting come playoff time. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the Lakers right now. And if they can stay healthy, I would not be surprised if they make a deep run into the playoffs.
Health is going to be the biggest thing with the Lakers. We know that. We've talked about it so many times already. They got to be healthy, and that's why I say these next 5 games will be tricky in how they navigate, playing time for guys because getting up to the 6th seed would be great. Don't get me wrong. But you also don't want to do it at the expense of now somebody picks up a little injury or somebody may not be available for a game or two in the playoffs. So that's where you got to balance it. What's most important right now? Being completely healthy and trying to make a run. And one thing that does favor Braun and AD is that, playoff time, you don't play any back-to-backs. You're always going to have a day off in between games. Mm-hmm. So you want to try to go in as healthy as possible and then use the scheduling in the playoffs to your advantage, knowing we don't have to play back-to-back. So if Braun need to go for 35, 40 minutes tonight, so be it, because we're off tomorrow anyway. So that's where the Lakers just got to navigate that.
Yeah, and even though you're gonna have the night off, if you can close teams out early, so LeBron doesn't have to stay on the court for 35, 40 minutes just for you guys to win the game. What they did in Minnesota last night, that's what they need. More of they need to take control. Pretty much throughout the game, they need to take control. But coming out into the second half, they need to take control, put their foot on their opponent's neck and hold that thing down so that LeBron can be sitting. By the time the 6-minute mark comes, you can have LeBron on the bench just chilling in the fourth quarter, resting. You can start taking AD out because we don't need a little ticky-tack injury. AD is Mr. Glass, also known as always down because he's always, getting banged up. We saw he left this game with a little tweak. He walked off on his own strength, so I'm pretty sure he'll be good to go. But you just can't take those chances if you're the Lakers because you know that injury is your Achilles heel, which is kind of crazy in itself. But that's your Achilles heel is health. If these guys can stay healthy, the sky's the limit for this team. But we know that is a big anchor hanging around the neck of the Los Angeles Lakers is that they cannot stay healthy. We keep seeing guys going in and out. And if it's going to be an Anthony Davis or LeBron James, there's no way that the Lakers can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, right. And again, it's matchups matter. You want to try to get the best matchup for yourself, but you want to do it. You don't want to do it at the expense of getting hurt. Their role players have been better. As you mentioned, Rob Pelinka, I think ultimately his patience has paid off because it was able to still get this team to be a playoff team without having to sacrifice too much of the future. We talked about those picks that he, held so dearly to his chest that he didn't want to give up. But, now it works out for him. You're able to get in. You hope to make some noise. I think the Memphis matchup works perfect for them. I don't feel the same way about Denver, right? I think the Denver matchup would be a tougher matchup for them. I think Sacramento matchup would be a pretty good one for them as well. but you have to be healthy no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, if you telling me we're gonna get a series of AD averaging 30 in 10 11 with a block or two, they can get Denver up out of there too.
To me that's the tougher matchup. Not just because of AD can have his numbers. I just think Denver, the balance of that team, how deep they are, would give the Lakers a lot of problems. Whereas I think again, Memphis is not as deep. Memphis is a team that's still young and doesn't really know how to win. For as big a game they talk, Memphis only been to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think that's a matchup that's very favorable. And I think Sacramento too. Sacramento's another young team. They would have to play the Lakers, and that series would really help the Lakers because it wouldn't be a lot of travel. It would just be in state. You know what I'm saying? So that also factors in now because, like you said, when you're talking about rest, how much wear and tear we putting on these guys. Hey, we're taking short flights within the state now, where we don't have to really worry about as much as if we were traveling to Denver or traveling to Memphis. So those two matchups I like. The Denver one I just don't like for the Lakers.
Well, and I agree with you. Those two matches, I feel like the Lakers, even being the lower seed, go into that series being the favorite.
More than likely, yeah.
Right. With the Denver series, I know that's going to be the toughest series they would have to play to play in. Jokic, he's a monster. But I feel comfortable that the Lakers can give Denver a run for their money if AD is playing like Anthony Davis. I think they can. Just because of that matchup, when those two guys have gone head to head in the past, remember they, obviously I know the bubble was a couple of years ago now, and this is a completely different Jokic, even more improved Jokic. But I just think that they can give them a run for their money if Anthony Davis is playing like that.
Yeah, they could give anybody a run for their money if AD's playing like AD.
Yeah.
But that's why it's the biggest what if with the Lakers in the playoffs in general. I mean, the reason the Lakers are where they're at right now as a 7th seed is because the inconsistency is, as you mentioned, and that's why I say the Denver one would scare me the most because now you need AD to be the best version of himself for 7 games.
Yes,
and I don't think
we don't know.
I don't think, aside from earlier this year when he got hurt the first time, that's the only time that this year that he's probably put 7 consistent games together. Other than that, it's been, 2 or 3 here and then a down game, 2 or 3 here, and then he misses a game. So against Denver, you can't have that. You got to be really good for 7 straight games because you're going up against arguably, the 3-time MVP.
Yeah.
You got to be I need you to be the best version of yourself for 7 games, and I just haven't seen that from AD.
You're right. I agree. So all right. So you do feel like Dallas is going to be the odd team out no matter what?
I think so. I think their schedule is a little tough to end it out. I also think that just all the issues they're having defensively right now, I just can't. I know it's only a half game, but I think they're going to lose today to Miami. Miami has a lot to play for because Miami's trying to avoid the playing game themselves. And so I think today's is where we're going to start to see the downfall of like, all right, it's over. It's not working in Dallas.
Yeah, and Miami took a tough loss to Brooklyn a couple of nights ago that could have really helped them get out of the play-in tournament. So they're definitely coming into this game like, no, we got to beat up on the team that's been down the past couple of weeks, and do everything that we can to get up out of this play-in tournament. But so let's go over to the East though. Let's go, to the play-in tournament in the East. What's going on over there? Who do you have filling those 4 spots in the Eastern Conference?
I think it's going to stay the way it is. The Wizards had a chance yesterday to maybe make it interesting, but they took a bad loss to the Magic. So I think right now Miami's 2 back of Brooklyn. Then you got Atlanta, Toronto kind of tied for 8th and 9th, and then Chicago at 10th. I think it's going to stay the way it is. Chicago has a 3-game lead over the Wiz with 5 to go. So that's the way it's going to end up. I do think Toronto is going to jump over Atlanta and get to the 8th spot, and it's going to set up the potential first-round matchup with Miami-Toronto to get the 7th spot. But other than that, the 4 are going to stay the way they are.
I believe so as well. Especially, Listen, man, Brooklyn is looking like a little engine that could right now, because they just came off of beating Miami. They just beat the Hawks last night, and they dominated that game. I want to say this now, so I got it on record. I think Mikal Bridges will be an All-Star next season because he's getting a chance right now to show um the talent level that he has. And sometimes, coming into certain situations when you have guys that are superstars already on the roster, you can't always show your full potential because you kind of have to play your role. And that's what he did. He was playing more of the defensive stopper, for the Phoenix Suns. But now we're getting a chance to see the offensive explosion that Bridges, has turned into with the Brooklyn Nets. I think he's going to be an All-Star next season.
I think he has all-star potential. I'm not going to put him as an all-star yet because as we had the conversation back in January, February about the all-star game, the East is very tough at the wing position to get into the All-Star game. We
Yeah.
saw it this year, like Jalen Brunson was deserving and he couldn't even make the All-Star game. So that's the only reason I don't put him in the All-Star game yet. But I do say he has all-star potential because he is that type of talent, as you mentioned. And I am happy for him that he's getting to show it. He's really taking advantage of this opportunity. Some guys could have been a little salty about getting traded from a championship caliber team to what looks like a rebuild now in Brooklyn, but he is taking full advantage of it. I love the leadership he's shown there, and he's embraced the role of being the guy. So he is an all-star potential guy. And we got to give a lot of credit. Drunk mentioned Mike Brown earlier. A guy who, to me, still doesn't get enough credit is Jacques Vaughn. Because when he took the job, there were people that were wondering, can he get it done? Is he really KD's guy? I love the way he's handled this opportunity as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. He righted the ship there when things were a little shaky for them. Even after losing their stars, he's done the right thing. And I like the way he's handled Ben Simmons as well. Ben Simmons has not been good for them. And they shut him down for the year. Right. He
And I don't
didn't
even
pay.
care to shut him down for the year. I'm actually happy.
No, but that's what I'm saying. When some coaches might have caved to the idea of like, we're paying them big money,
Let's
we
force
gave up a lot. Right. Let's force him on the court. No, he don't fit what we're doing. Simple as that. He don't fit. And we got other guys here that are giving us A+ efforts that deserve the minutes. Ben Simmons isn't. He don't fit. We're gonna shut him down. And I like the way he's handled it. And I think Jacques Vaughn deserves a lot of credit. He may not win Coach of the Year, but I think he's done a phenomenal job for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll win Coach of the Year. But if first of all, the Nets making the playoffs after losing KD, Kyrie Irving, that in itself is an amazing thing. But if you're telling me that the Nets were actually able to hold on and have a playoff spot and not even have to be in the playing tournament, that is a you have to give a lot of credit to Jacques Vaughn, for that in his coaching, what he's been able to do to keep this team focused, keep this team honest, keep this team playing together with basically a bunch of pieces, a bunch of random pieces that they picked up, through the KD trade, through the Kyrie Irving trade. And these guys, on a lot of nights are looking good. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, which is why they're not in the playing tournament right now. Because I mean, realistically, who do you know on this roster? Right? I mean, obviously, just because he was with the Suns, but
Right.
the rest of these guys, they're NBA talent like that. They're not one of the upper echelon, any of the upper echelon of guys. So for them to continue to be successful, continue to win games, and keep themselves out of the play-in tournament. I just mentioned the two big wins against Miami and Atlanta, both teams that are trying to get out of the play-in tournament right now. You have to give Jacques Vaughn his credit.
Yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. One of my predictions early this year was that the Atlantic Division was going to be the toughest division in basketball, which is shown because
Yes.
four of the top 6 seeds in the East come out of the Atlantic. Toronto's the fifth team; they're going to be in the playing game. So for Jacques Vaughn, like you said, to not only do it after the trade, but even early on, KD went down for an extended period of time. Dealing with the uncertainty of Kyrie, and still be able to be over 500, be the 6th seed, have the type of season they've had. I think it's phenomenal, man. I think Jacques Vaughn deserves a lot more praise than people are talking about. They're flying under the radar. Playoff time might be a little different because again, it's always about matchups, and I don't know how well right now as the 6th seed. I wouldn't give them a chance to beat Philly, but just the fact that he's put them in that position to go in and not have to play in to get in and be a legitimate playoff team. Kudos to Jock Vaughn.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. What I would have liked to see, and obviously it's tough because it's not gonna. I don't think it's mathematically possible to happen now. I would have liked to see a Knicks Nets first round matchup with the
Well, you don't
Knicks
want to see that because we would have smoked them. All
and
right,
and the Nets having the fit. Well, listen, I
we
ain't
would have
gonna,
smoked them.
I ain't gonna go that far. Even though I
No,
will,
no, we would have
I will,
smoked them.
I will
All
give,
right.
I will give, um, um, oh my goodness, why am I drawing the blank right now with this point guard?
Yeah, you're talking about 48 piece?
48 piece. Yeah, I will.
48 piece?
Yeah, he definitely did his thing last
He's
night
all right. He's all
against
right. He's pretty good.
Cleveland. But listen,
He's pretty good.
we not gonna act like the Nets ain't do their part in the Bing Bong parlay now. You gonna
Oh,
act
well, listen.
all
The
right.
big bond parlay. I love the fact. I know we're gonna get into baseball in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
To start opening day and have the bing bong parlay just come together the way it did
Mm-hmm.
was so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say this too, right? Even though I'm not living in New York now for the last few years, but obviously New York is home no matter what.
Absolutely.
Trip, I want to ask you this because I was really thinking about this the other day. I cannot remember a time, right, where pretty much every team in New York was playing well, was a playoff team. We're talking Knicks Nets. We got Yankees Mets who are both 90 plus win teams and going to be in the playoffs again. We got the Giants coming off a playoff win. We got the Jets who might be the up and coming young guns of the AFC, especially if they get Aaron Rodgers, right? You got the Rangers. Who am I missing in this equation? Because I don't think that
Actually, it's what team.
I don't think there's been a time, like I said, where we had all the New York teams at the same time be this relevant, where they're all playoff teams.
And did you throw in the Liberty up in there too? Because
Uh,
they about to be a force too.
their season about to start, the Liberty as well. But like I said, like I really thought about because I'm like, you know what? The times that maybe the Mets and Yankees both was good, the football teams weren't good,
Yeah.
right? And then, or if the football teams were good and the Mets and Yankees were good, the basketball teams probably weren't good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
or there's been times where the Rangers were really good, but the Knicks weren't good, or vice versa. This is the first time you got the Rangers in the playoffs. You got the Knicks, the Nets in the playoffs. We expect both baseball teams to win 90 games. You got the Giants coming off a playoff victory. You got the Jets, who everyone's right now on FanDuel. Trip, I don't know if you saw it. The Jets got like the 5th best odds to go to the Super Bowl.
That's crazy. They don't even have a quarterback. I guess this is
They
probably
haven't even made right. They
bringing
haven't even made the trade yet, but everybody is so hype about the potential of that team that if they add Aaron Rodgers to that defense that's already amazing, to that offense with Garrett Wilson, with Brees Hall, with those guys that they have, everybody expects them to be a really good team. And like I said, I really had to think back. Like I can't remember a time where all 4 major sports had a playoff team coming out the city. I know the city's buzzing right now. They don't even know who to put on the back page no more.
Yeah. Let me see. The only other team.
The Islanders, they don't count.
Yeah, okay. All right. Damn. All right. Well, they up out of there. They actually are they done? They might have a chance still. Do they have a chance still to make the playoffs?
I don't think so because I think playoffs don't the playoffs start like this week for them?
Oh, so it's them deathmatch because the record is actually pretty close because they actually have hold on. They have a better record than the Rangers right now. Hold up.
No, I think they don't have more points than the Rangers.
That's okay. That's what it is. Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
they're a couple of games behind them. All right, well, listen, nobody care about the Islanders it's like that.
Yeah, their season ends this week as well because they play a 82 game season as well. So they're on a they're down to their last 6 games.
Yeah, ain't nobody worried.
They 12 points behind the Rangers, so I don't think they can get in there.
We gotta be thankful that that we do have the Giants coming off and making the playoffs. The Jets are looking like they could make a good run this year, especially if they get Aaron Rodgers. And we're gonna talk a little bit about Lamar Jackson later as well because he's
Let's
also
get to it. Yeah, let's transition. What else we got?
okay. Well, let's just jump into the NFL. My guy, that's my guy, Lamar Jackson. I'm completely disappointed right now with the Ravens. that this situation has not been taken care of, and now it's come out. That Lamar Jackson asked for a trade request back on March 2nd. And I guess it's somewhat of a good thing that the Ravens haven't given him that request, because I guess it does mean that they are trying to work things out with Lamar Jackson. But I at this point I don't know what's gonna happen. And now I'm a team like your guys out in Indianapolis. I know there's been rumblings that they might want to make a run at Lamar Jackson. I know there's been talk about the Jets, if this Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't happen, they may make a run at Lamar Jackson. So I'm kind of messed up right now because I just want this thing to be handled. I don't like the way Lamar Jackson is being treated right now. All of the BS, because every bad thing about you they're gonna try to throw out there during this time right now, because they want to discredit you. So the injury talk came up recently. So I really want them to get this thing together, but I'm not sure how this thing is gonna play out right now. I'll be honest with you. I was a lot confident a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm I have no confidence right now that this situation is gonna be worked out in a positive light. Um so it's tough, man.
It's I think it's at a point of no return. Um, Lamar deserves his money. We know that. So let's start there first and foremost, right? The injury talk is legitimate because he's missed about 14 games over the last 2 years. So we can't ignore that aspect of it as well. But that does not mean that he should be lowballed in an offer. Because if we truly sat here and did a rankings of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, he's probably somewhere in the range of fifth or sixth. So we're not talking about and a guy who hasn't earned his money. He's earned his money. I think the issue that's happening here with him and the Ravens is that Lamar has taken on the negotiations himself, and there is no middleman to kind of like navigate this situation and these conversations with them. Because when it's too personal for you, it's very tough to talk business. And let's keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? You've worked jobs, I've worked jobs, Trip. When you and your boss don't get along, and then you feel slighted by your boss, now you don't even want to talk to that motherfucker no more. Oh, sorry, we're a family show. I apologize. I'm sorry. I apologize. You don't even want to talk to him anymore. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's how Lamar feels. He feels disrespected now. So now he ain't gonna want to compromise with anybody. He ain't gonna want to like really negotiate with you. Now it's like, this is what I want, and talk to me when you're ready to give me that. And the Ravens, on the other hand, are thinking they're negotiating when Lamar's like, no, we're not negotiating, because now you've made it personal. Like you said, you brought up the injury. You're treating me as if I didn't win MVP of this league. You're treating me as if I haven't been the best quarterback this franchise has ever had. I want to be paid. And that's where I think he needs somebody to kind of be the middleman here, so that the conversations get filtered both ways. He could be brutally honest with the middleman, and then the middleman will filter it down to the Ravens like, hey, my guy kind of feels like he should be paid like a top two, top three quarterback in this league because he's already an MVP of this league. My guy feels he deserves this because of what he's done for the organization, and vice versa. Then when the Ravens counter, that guy can filter it to Lamar as well, where it's not a harsh like, well, they worried about injuries, or they worried about the fact that I only got one playoff win. You know what I'm saying? That's where this is going wrong. I think Lamar is going to get paid. I think a trade is inevitable. I just think that the trade is not going to come as fast as we would like it to be, because
Yes.
I think teams are looking at this as well and saying, look, we don't have to rush to make this move. We can wait till after the draft, and maybe we don't have to give up this year's picks. Maybe we give up next year and the year after's pick. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Something like that. Or maybe we wait a little bit, which is one of the things that started coming out yesterday, was that we know about the trade request, but Lamar, he's also said that I'm not asking for a fully guaranteed deal. I think he wants something where like 90% of his contract is guaranteed.
Hmm.
He wanted to match similar to what Deshaun Watson got in terms of like guaranteed money, and percentage wise, I mean, because his is fully guaranteed, but his is fully guaranteed at a crazy number, $240 million. I don't think any other quarterback's going to get that type of guarantee. But
Yeah.
maybe Lamar's willing to take a 3-year deal with fully guarantees, similar to what Kirk Cousins did with Minnesota, because his was fully guaranteed as well, but it was a 3-year deal
Yeah.
as opposed to something longer. So
And, go ahead, Eric.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, outside of Aaron Rodgers, who he's been in the league for 16, 17, 18 seasons, something like that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, there's not, there's only one quarterback that really has a better resume than Lamar Jackson. Like just be honest about it. As far as his regular season record, having an MVP on his belt already, you know, there's not too many guys at playing quarterback that have a better resume than what Lamar Jackson has been able to accomplish already. Just give the man his money. You guys went through this, and this is crazy because you went through this same thing with Joe Flacco, who is not a 16th of the quarterback that Lamar Jackson is, and you wound up paying Joe Flacco, and you got and you guys got past it. Give Lamar Jackson his money. He has earned that money. He deserves it. He puts butts in those seats for you guys. Okay, he's a winning quarterback. You have done him a disservice by not getting any true number one or even true number two wide receivers in Baltimore to help Lamar Jackson out. And now you do not want to pay this man. Pay him his money so we can all move on, please.
And the Joe Flacco scenario is a great one. That's what I was looking up to, try to get a little clarity on it. Joe Flacco really only got paid because he had that Super Bowl run. They made him wait it out as long as possible. And then at that point, they had no choice. They had to, like, it would have been crazy to think you're not going to pay the quarterback who just won you a Super Bowl.
Out of pocket.
Right. Right. So they were forced. The bad part of that is they took that same strategy again now, and it's completely backfiring on them. They could have taken care of this 2 years ago. They could have, when we talk about contracts and we talk about the highest paid guys, like when we heard Mahomes' contract 2 years ago, it sounded crazy, right?
Mhm.
10 years, $400 million. No quarterback had ever touched that number. Now he's not even a top 3 paid quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
Because the market is going to get reset every summer. We know that already.
Mhm.
But the smart thing that the Chiefs did was, let's lock this up now. We know you're our guy. So let's just pay you now. Like, we don't need 2 more years for you to prove to us that you're our guy. You've already proven that. Had the Ravens taken that same approach, that guaranteed money 2 years ago, this conversation about guaranteed money wouldn't even be happening because he would have got his money before Deshaun Watson.
Mhm.
So then there's no debate now. It's like, we already took care of you, bro. We gave you your bread. We paid you as the top quarterback at that time because that's what you deserve. Now the market has shifted and reset again, but that don't mean we're gonna reshift now. We got to wait it out a little bit more. But you got your money. You're happy already.
Yeah.
And now we can move on to other things that we need to worry about, as you mentioned, like getting you weapons, like securing other pieces. The Ravens have fumbled this situation so many times because you could have taken care of Lamar 2 years ago, but you didn't. You could have taken care of him last summer, but you didn't. Now you're waiting to this summer, and now you're wondering why the guy's upset. Also, let's not forget you traded for Roquan Smith, who we both really like, but then immediately gave him $20 million a year. So you took care of a guy that wasn't even in your facility. He wasn't in your facility more than 2 months before you gave him his new money, but Lamar got to fight with you to get his money.
Yeah. And that's the part that's really gonna, if I'm Lamar Jackson, I take that personally. The fact that, and again, how much I've given kudos to Roquan Smith. I think he is a top 3 linebacker in football, and I think he is needed. I do. But if I am Lamar Jackson, I took that personally. That here we have a guy, and again, I do believe he turned that defense around when he got there. You spoke a lot about the change in the Ravens defense from pre Roquan Smith and post Roquan Smith, and how much of an improvement he made that defense. But guess what? This team, this organization, this franchise does not move without Lamar Jackson doing what he has been doing for the past couple of years. And you're not winning any Super Bowls with Huntley or whoever else. It was Anthony Brown was the other kid they brought in, the backup to the backup. You are not winning a Super Bowl with either one of those guys. No disrespect to either one of those guys. Huntley is a decent backup, but he is no Lamar Jackson. I watched him up close and personal in that Steelers game this past season, and I was completely disgusted by how bad he played in that game. A game that really with that team, they should have still been able to win that game. He just could not get the job done. So you have nothing there at quarterback to replace Lamar Jackson. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why he does not have a new contract already. I don't know why you haven't signed him and trying to do whatever the heck you can do to trade for DeAndre Hopkins or a top wide receiver as of yet. Y'all acting a fool right now, and it's gonna cost you big time.
I think because I think it's gone too far, and I think it's done. I think even at this point, even if they gave Lamar the fully guaranteed deal, I think Lamar would hesitate to sign.
Yeah.
I really think, again, we deal with relationships in life every day. And there's some things you can come back from, and there's some things you can't. And sometimes when it goes too far, there is no coming back. No amount of, I'm sorry's or apologies or anything like that are gonna get it back to where it once was. And I
Mhm.
think that's where it's at right now with Lamar. Yeah, they might slap down a contract in front of him next week and say, look, this is what you want, here it goes. And he may still say, nah, you know what? The fact that I had to go through all this just to get that,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I agree. I guess we're gonna wait and see uh what happens with that one. OBJ, my main man. What's the catch against Dallas? The numbers have come out on what he's looking for. He's looking for around 15 million a year, 3 year, maybe even 4 year deal if he can finesse that. Is he worth it still?
Um, 15 a year, I don't mind that number for him because last time we saw him on the field, he looked like he was possibly going to win Super Bowl MVP. So
Mhm.
I don't mind that number. I think 3 to 4 years might be a little much. I understand why he's throwing that out there. He's trying to secure this potentially might be his last big bag
Yeah,
in the NFL. So he's trying to secure that. I get all that. If he gets the 4 year deal, I promise you there are going to be a lot of outs in that contract where a team could cut him at some point without having to continue to pay him. So he may get what he wants, but it won't be completely on his terms. It might be with a lot of outs. It might be with a lot of stipulations. Some of that money may be pushed over into incentive base. But I mean, again, he's going to be a good signing for wherever he goes. We know the caliber of receiver he is. Coming off this injury, you expect him to start a little slow, but he would be a good signing for any team.
yeah. I actually wouldn't mind the Giants giving him 15 million a year for 3 years. I wouldn't. I would not mind that at all. I wouldn't mind the Ravens giving him 15 million a year, for 3 years, because there are a lot of teams that still need a true number one wide receiver. We know the success that Odell had in New York prior to being traded. We also know, like you just mentioned, that Odell was looking like he was going to be Super Bowl MVP in that Rams Super Bowl. I know obviously it's been a year off, and you do have to take into account, um, you know, his injury history, but I think 15 million a year is definitely doable. And although I do like the Giants moves this off season, Odell is better than every wide receiver that they kept and every wide receiver that they added. So I would not mind that at all. Um, Another team who I would say should think about throwing their hat in the ring, either for to try to sign Odell or to make a trade for DeAndre Hopkins, would be the Kansas City Chiefs. Juju left, so they are going to need a wide receiver to replace him. Not that he was a number one receiver, he's definitely a number two at best, but they're going to need another receiver to fill that void. Odell would be a great fit alongside of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, so I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah, he's going to field some offers from some of the bigger teams and some of the best teams in the league. I think Kansas City is going to be in that market as well. Kansas City may be a team that waits till after the draft to kind of see what's available because after the draft is when some of these price tags start to go down a little bit. Because then at that point, guys are really just trying to secure a spot, and maybe Odell's willing to take a little less to go to Kansas City. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Maybe instead of 15, he's willing to do 8 to 10 mil per year, which is still a good number because you're gonna get your numbers on the field, and you got a chance to play for another Super Bowl. So Odell or Hopkins, I think Kansas City's going to be in on both those guys. I think Buffalo's going to be in on both those guys as well. And
Mhm.
we may see a dark horse team here or there that might come in on him as well after the draft, and we know where quarterbacks land, things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Really quick before we leave NFL, because we're getting close to the draft. We saw a couple of weeks ago Carolina made that big trade with the Chicago Bears to get the number one seed. Um, the talks have shifted. Where I thought it was a lock that Bryce Young would be the number one draft pick, but I'm hearing a lot of CJ Stroud, the giant, the Panthers organization, it's looking like the GM and the coach, they like a bigger quarterback. CJ Stroud, I believe, is about 6'3",
Hmm.
something like that. Um, is Bryce Young still the best QB in this draft? And is this Carolina trying to pull a wool over everyone's eyes just to kind of confuse things a little bit? What do you think?
Nah, I think the interest in CJ is legitimate, um, as it should be. I mean, CJ Stroud is a phenomenal talent.
Mhm.
I think the concerns with Bryce Young are more about just his size and his stature,
Yeah,
because we've seen smaller quarterbacks struggle. I mean, Kyler Murray has struggled. For as dynamic as Kyler Murray is, he has struggled in the NFL. Russell Wilson has had his struggles. Drew Brees has had his struggles. So I think the Panthers view this as a situation where Bryce may be the better quarterback in terms of tools, but will his game be able to translate to the NFL when he's not going to have a great offensive line, when he may not have the greatest weapons on the outside to throw to, when he doesn't have a great running game to rely on? That's when you probably want somebody who's a little physically built for that type of situation. And CJ Stroud may be that guy. I don't think Bryce Young is going to stay on the board long, though, because if he doesn't go number one, I would be truly surprised if the Texans don't take him at number two.
yeah,
Again, it's not a slight to Bryce Young. I just think that the Panthers that's where their concerns lie.
yeah. I agree. Because I do feel like Bryce Young is the better quarterback. However, when you look at the the longevity of a Russell Wilson, he's played the last couple of seasons. You know, Super Bowl champion, obviously played great. He had a lot of great years in Seattle, but now he's getting banged up. Same thing with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has been explosive a lot throughout the first couple of years of his career, but if you don't have that protection, it can be tough. You know, Drew Brees, I guess, is probably the spokesman for for quarterbacks under 6 foot. He's probably had the most success out of any quarterback under 6 feet tall. And he did last a long time, but you know, after the one Super Bowl, he kind of really didn't do much, with the exception of just adding on to his stats and whatnot. But he just didn't really get back to that. And then we saw the last couple of years, the shoulder
Hmm.
injury kind of held the Saints back. So I get it. It's tough,
And
especially when you're talking about teams that don't have good pieces around the
yeah,
quarterback.
and that's a big part of it, because the Drew Brees story. A lot of people like to focus on New Orleans and the success they had there, but people forget that with the Chargers, he didn't have a lot of success.
Yeah.
They were getting bumped early in the playoffs. He dealt with a really bad shoulder injury, and that's why the Chargers moved on from him to Philip Rivers. And him landing in New Orleans was the perfect combination of Sean Payton's offensive genius, Drew Brees' skill set, and then they drafted really well there. I mean, remember they
Perfect
had
storm.
Reggie Bush there, Marcus Colston. They brought in good weapons around them to eventually become Super Bowl champions. So for the Panthers, you got to weigh it that way. Like, all right, do we want as much as we may like Bryce Young, do we want to really watch this guy take a beating for 2 or 3 years before we can really put a good team around him? Because then at that point, is he going to be good enough to win anything?
Yeah.
We're seeing it with Kyler Murray right now. Kyler Murray is going to miss significant time this upcoming season. Kyler Murray at the time was the shortest, I think, measured and shortest number one overall pick. It hasn't really worked out. For as dynamic as Kyler Murray is, and we know he does some phenomenal things on the field, uh, what's it led to? One playoff appearance in 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's with them going out to get D Hop. That's with them investing money on the O line, and it still hasn't worked. And the Panthers are in that same situation. The Panthers are starting from scratch.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I get it. So there you have it. We got to wait and see. Still, draft is fast approaching. But again, oh, and I will say this, and I want to say this again. As much as I like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, I think those guys are both great. But tell you right now, I still believe the best player in this draft is Will Anderson Jr. And it's looking like the Cardinals will probably pick him up with the third pick in the draft. That kid is going to be a problem in this league.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Will Anderson goes any lower than third. Like I said, I expect the Texans to take whichever quarterback is still on the board at number 2.
Mhm.
But at number 3, Will Anderson, that's a lock.
Yeah,
Unless Arizona trades out, unless there's a team that trades up to 3 for a potential quarterback, whether it be Richardson, whether it be Will Levis.
yeah,
Um, I think Anderson goes 3 no matter what.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, man. Listen, let's get over to baseball. Opening day because we running a little bit low on time. Big wins. New York, New York, big city of dreams. Bing bong. Both the Mets and the Yankees get wins to start this season, and both the Mets and the Yankees, along with the Houston Astros, go into this season as the favorites to win the World Series. They were all at, I believe, plus 600 to win the World Series. But let's talk Mets first. I'll let you start it off. Um, how are you feeling about your team to open the season?
I'm super excited about our team. I feel, I would be more excited if Edwin Diaz had not got hurt during the World Baseball Classic.
I was trying to skip
But
over that. I didn't want to
no,
talk.
no, no, no. We got to address the elephant in the room. But getting Robertson and sure enough, we had already made additions to our bullpen anyway before that injury.
Yeah,
So I'm not as devastated as I would have been if we didn't have Robertson and we didn't have some of these other guys in the pen. So I think we'll be able to survive that injury.
yeah.
But
It
I'm
is a big
super
loss, though. It is.
yeah, I'm super excited for the team because I feel like, even though a lot was made about the money we spent, it was spent to add depth to this team and give us more.
Yes.
So you lose the Grom, but then you go get Verlander, you go get the foreign pitcher, you go get some other guys. Well, who else we got? We got somebody else as well as a pitcher. Now I'm drawing a blank, but nonetheless, we've added a lot of depth. I love our team. I love our roster, and I expect us to win 90 plus games, compete for another division title, and compete for a World Series.
Listen, I'm just gonna put this in the atmosphere now, Eric. It's the beginning of the season, but I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna put it out there. And if you feel comfortable, co-signing what I'm about to say, then by all means, co-sign what I'm about to say. And I am foreseeing a Subway Series Bing Bong World Series.
I like it. I like it. I love it. I hope we get to that point as well because, like I said, nothing would be better than to face the Yankees and beating the Yankees in the World Series. So I hope that's what we get
I bet you would like that.
to.
Yes. But I gotta go with my guys. The guys that opened up with a big win with Garrett Cole breaking the Yankees opening day record with strikeouts with my guy, Mr. MVP. Here comes the judge starting off the season with a home run. And the Yankees get the shutout victory over a very good San Fran team. The only thing that would have made that game better for me would have been if I had went to the game. Unfortunately, I had to work during the game time, so I couldn't go to opening day. But that would have made it even more spectacular for me. But I will take the win. It was kind of crazy because I'm like, we started the season, we had opening day on Thursday, but then we had Friday off. That was kind of weird for me. I figured we would have played straight through
Yeah,
to the weekend. But listen, I love it to start the season. Can't
yeah,
complain.
yeah, man. I mean, Aaron Judge continues to amaze, man. Coming out wasting no time, first at bat. Yankees got a good team too, man. And like I said, it's going to be a very good year in baseball, especially for New York.
Yeah. The only thing, and I'm gonna say this, the only thing better than the Bing Bong parlay being complete with the Knicks winning the other night, and then both the Mets and the Yankees winning their opening day games was Meg Thee Stallion throwing the opening pitch for the Houston Astros. I think that's the only thing that overshadowed those things, and I think why I say overshadow, because that Meg,
Oh, it cast a shadow.
it cast a
That
shadow.
thing, that thing cast a shadow. But yeah, that's shout out to Meg for that one as well. But I was thinking the other day, we talked about the Bing Bong parlay. You reminded me I got to make sure I get that Bing Bong parlay in today as well, because the Yankees play an afternoon game today,
Mhm.
if they're able to get the game. And I know the weather's a little bad up there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, I think a lot of money could just be made if you just bet Mets and Yankees every time they play on the same day. I just think
One of those seasons.
it's what happened.
It's gonna be one of those seasons.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are going to win 90 plus games, so that means they're going to win a lot on the same day. I
Hmm.
think you could just build up a vacation bank just off that. Like, I'm just going Yankees Mets every time they play. So I'm gonna start the trend. I started on opening day. They played today together, putting them on a ticket together.
I love it. Let's do it. Bing bong. There you go, right there. Bing bong. Um, really quick, before we get up out of here, I want to ask you this because I want to talk a little bit of basketball, and then we'll make this the last topic. LeVar Ball, he made some comments about Bronny James. He said that Bronny should skip college and go play in Australia. What did you think about that statement?
I don't agree with that statement. I understand where LeVar is coming from, because the totality of the statement was, if you know you want to go to the league, why waste your time in the classroom? Go just continue to prep for the league. And
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that thinking, because that's no different than the guys who go to the G League as opposed to going to college. It's the same thing. But for Bronny James, I think that he has an opportunity. I mean, we know about the NIL money that he's in line to receive, but I also think because he's lived his most of his life in the spotlight, right? It would be good for him to just be a teenager for once and just go to college and kind of be a teenager and be amongst other teenagers who are just living their life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no knock against Sierra Canyon, but that is a school for celebrity children.
Yeah.
So he can't even really be himself there, because it's even then it's like, I'm amongst celebrities. I can't just mingle with people and be Bronny James and be the teenager. So go to a college campus for 1 year. Really enjoy yourself. Be a kid for that 1 year. Enjoy life. And who knows, he might like college life so much that he stays in college for 2 years before he enters the draft. But ultimately, let him be a kid. Let's stop rushing this young man to be a man already. Let's stop rushing him. Let him be a kid. Let him enjoy his youth.
Yeah. I think that makes sense for other top high school players not named Bronny James, because you can go overseas, you can start making money to help your family out. I think that's a huge plus. Or you could go to the G League and start making money there as well. But just Bronny James is blessed. He's very blessed, very fortunate that his father's name is LeBron James. So for him, uh, I don't think it's really necessary. I think he should go to college route. Because I think that would actually give him kind of something that his father didn't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think from that standpoint, I think him going to college, you go to college, you mess around and win a national championship. Now you have an accolade that your dad is not ever gonna have.
Yep.
Because he ain't going back. Ain't no going back. I mean, I guess technically he would still have some years of eligibility since he didn't go in the first place. But I don't see Bron going back to college.
Is that what Braun meant when he said, "I want to play with my son"? Is that what he meant?
Hey, listen, you know what? Technically he could. But I don't think he's just gonna, retire early.
I think you stumbled across a movie right there that we could call it the 40-year-old freshman.
You're right. You know what? I'm gonna
40-year-old
call
freshman.
Braun up and see if he's with it. I'm gonna call Braun up.
Yeah. Imagine that, if bro, like I'm taking my talents to Ohio State next fall.
I wouldn't even be mad. And Braun could do whatever the hell he want. Braun
Right.
got so much going on now. He's doing so much positive. LeBron James can do whatever the hell he want. I wouldn't even be mad at him. I was actually excited too. I was mad because since we recorded our sneaker special, and guys, it's going to we're gonna drop that within the next 2-3 weeks. We're gonna drop the our top 5 specials. But because of that, I just picked up, it was my nephew's birthday, so I got him a pair of foams, and I also got him a LeBrons, and LeBron was actually wearing the LeBrons. I just got him last
Nice,
night in the game against Minnesota, but my
nice.
nephew was already asleep when the game come on because they got West Coast time.
Yeah.
I was a little tight behind that, but yeah, man, LeBron can do whatever he wants, man. He does so much for the community, for these kids out here. If he wanted to go be the 40-year-old freshman, by all means, I support that.
Hey, I like it. If he were to do it, that would be a unique twist on, I want to play with my son. But all jokes aside, though, I think Bronny, man, go be a kid, bro. Be a
Yeah.
kid. Enjoy some college life. That'll probably be his first time really away from his family as well. Like I said, give him an opportunity to just like mature and be a kid, man. And let's stop. What LeVar did for his sons was special. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that was always LeVar's plan to get his kids to the league however he could. For
And LeVar's
Bronny,
got LeBron James, so there's a
right.
difference there.
Right. There's a difference. His kids ain't have to grow up living in his shadow.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it was different. Bronny has lived in his in his father's shadow his whole life. Let him be the big man on campus for a little bit where he ain't got that shadow that's cast over him of, you know, you got to be like your dad. No, I'm taking my own path. I went to college. He didn't.
exactly. Um, Make sure you guys are following us on all our social media: Twitter, Instagram at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. Subscribe to that YouTube channel if you haven't already. YouTube.com/ For the Fans Productions. And again, don't worry if you're not in New York City on Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. You can still watch from anywhere in the world. All you have to do is go to that website, realfansrealtalk.com. And while you're online, make sure you subscribe to both the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, man. We all over the place. We got a whole lot of content. We got some new stuff coming to you guys. The top 5 Mount Rushmore specials, those are gonna be straight to television first. They're gonna premiere on the TV show first. So you guys got to be tuned in to the show on Thursday nights to catch that one. And then once it airs on TV, it'll be up on YouTube. You can watch it with everything else, but it is going to air on TV first. And we're going to be back in the studio in a couple of weeks recording our next 2 Mount Rushmore specials. So be on the lookout for those. Eric, you want to give us a final thought so we can get up out of here?
As always, man, we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're taking the time to rock with us, and we greatly appreciate it. Keep tuning in. Subscribe to Real Fans Real Talk. As I mentioned earlier, I go live every Friday night on Facebook, 9 p.m. So check me out over there for the Sanchez Show. And what else we got going on? Oh, like you said, the new episode's coming out. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss out on anything.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna just say congrats to the kids over at Holy Trinity. I'm seeing the offers pouring in for you guys. Big shout out to my guy Josiah Brown. I spoke about him a couple of weeks ago. He's the one that had the coach from Georgia, from national champion Georgia, fly a helicopter all the way to Long Island to go see him. But I'm actually hyped now because I just saw today that the offer from Alabama has officially came in. So if I got 2 cents in the equation, JB, go check my man Nick Saban down in Alabama. He got you covered. His wide receivers be first round draft picks in the NFL. There's always a wide receiver from Alabama in the first round. So go check my man, my man out. Plus, then I come down to the games and whatnot. Come check you in college, man, doing your thing, kicking butt the way you've been doing for the past 2 years with Holy Trinity, and the way you're going to do this coming season when y'all go and get that 3-peat. Yeah, I said it. Y'all going to get that 3-peat this year. I'm speaking it into existence. Trip Young said it here first on Real Fans Real Talk.
There we go.
All right. With that said, for myself, Trip Young, my brother, Eric Sachez, a.k.a. Legend in 2 Games, we up out of here. Peace.
We'll see y'all next week.
Sir.
Another classic.
If I can end the broadcast. All right, there we go.